Good morning, Rabbi Sai. How's everybody doing? Or I should say, sorry, good Voch. Good Voch, everybody. This is a special drink I just received. Somebody sent it. Some anonymous guy from Muncie. I already made a bracha. I'll explain to you why this is very important. Okay, Lili Nishmas, Rusbas Mordechai, if everybody could please mute yourselves because we don't have Gary. Even Yisrael Goldstein should probably mute himself.
The last 2 days, YouTube has been extremely clear. I don't know what you do, but the sharpness is better than it is in the German.
Really? Because Gary was telling me that YouTube wasn't so clear. So I'm happy to hear that it's even better. Because I'm using Eli Dykman's device, the AT&T. I'll show the item if anybody wants to ever transmit, broadcast. It's called the Nighthawk. So I'm going off of that. All right, Baruch Hashem, that's good to hear. Today's shir is being sponsored by Mark Ashkenazi. Mordechai Ashkenazi. That's what he wrote. That's his lashon. It's the first official Shinui Hashem. No, sorry, Kalman. Kalman is a Shinui Hashem. We got, okay, this is going to be like last Friday. I'm going to have to tell people to mute every 5 minutes or 15 seconds. Who else had a Shinui Hashem besides Kalman? We had a Harry Shalom. I forgot what his Hebrew name is. But Baruch Hashem, we're doing some Shinui Hashems here. Okay, let me set this up real quickly. So he's doing it, Refuah Shlema, I guess he's doing it just for the Shinui Hashem, but as an excuse. Refuah Shlema for his father, Chaim ben Chana, who Baruch Hashem is making progress in his recovery. Mazel Tov Mordechai on the Shinui Hashem, Yishkoyach. Let me set this up real quickly.
Yosef gets the credit. He wrote that.
Oh, okay. I should have seen that he... Okay. So my wife left on Monday, and I'm not exaggerating. Since she left, I might have had 3 or maybe 4 meals in the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days. So I'm a little hungry. I certainly didn't have Slurpees. This is mamish, a big treat. It's not that I'm stuck here. I could leave and go. I just whatever. I forget to eat sometimes. So I'm a little hungry, and yesterday I needed to make my flight, which was at 7 o'clock. So I gave a 2 p.m. shir, which meant that I had to get up extra early because I lost that 10 hours that I'm usually used to preparing. And then during the preparation, I get this call from my partner. It says, this refi that we were looking forward to fell through. Great. So then, like a half hour later, another partner calls me up. He says, this refi that we're supposed to do next month, it fell through. It's like, how bad could it get already? And then, of course, Avi Mandelbaum came and he cheered me up a little bit. It just got worse and worse. As the day was going on, I had to be masking to sell my house at a pretty low price, and we're not happy about it, but it was the right thing to do. It was just one thing after the other. And then finally, the shir's over, and I need to get to the airport, and I realized, hey, I have to fill out these forms. It took me 45 minutes to find the forms and to fill out, because you cannot fill it out only on the day that you leave. You can't fill it out earlier. By the time I filled out the forms and ran to the airport, it was only an hour and 10 minutes before my flight. They said no. And I didn't even argue with them. I realized it's one of those days. I knew I was going to miss my flight. It was obvious. Anyway, so yishkoyach but the reason I'm telling you this thing is because it's one of these days that I would rather, since I moved to Israel in 7 years, I only missed one Shabbos, not being home. To say that I was in the greatest mood to learn today would be a shtickle lie. And then I started the daf, and it talks about Kav and Saw, and I'm from Panovich, and the Pudyan, and the this, and like, it's just the whole thing. So anyways, the point is, Rabbi say, sometimes you're not having that great of a day, and we pound on, we learn weiter. Yishkoyach for the Slurpee. It means a lot. Now let's see what else somebody sent me in the mail. I have no idea. I don't know how to even open this thing. Some sort of safer, obviously. Maybe it's going to give me chizuk. In Yankov, on Eruvin and Psochim. I don't know who it's from. Hold on. There must be a note here. Yishkoyach. Thanks for the gift. You chazak me. Oh, wow. Guess who it's from? Gedalia Zlotowitz from Arts Girl. Yishkoyach! Okay, great. Maybe I donated money to them or something. I have no idea why I got this. Maybe because we use their pictures once in a while. Zok the Heilige Gemara. Oh, I have to read it. I just told you my story, but who cares about my story? Let's see. There was a good one here that I thought was. Oh, here's a good one. Shalom Aleichem Rebbe Eli. When I was in Israel, I was very grateful that you were keeping things going on schedule from Chicago and realized that there were probably sacrifices needed to be made to make it happen. That today is an understatement. Okay, now that I'm in town and having trouble staying up, I realize that it's more than I thought. So a tremendous hakaras hatoiv to you and the chaver for the shir, and hope to continue when I get back. I overheard the possibility of a later shir, and a hopeful understanding. I've been passing thought. Looking forward to getting back soon. Soon, Bezer Hashem. Anonymously yours, Shmuel, from Shmuel Lappner. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Okay, great. So now let's continue weiter in Shas. I know it's Erev Shabbos in New York. What is it? An hour before Shabbos? Less than an hour before Shabbos. Yisrael's in the mikveh learning now with us. Who else? I saw Shlomi Klein making chalm before. I'm not kidding. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Something like that. Something. All right. Zok the Heilige Gemara. Today's Daf Pei Gimel. We're starting from Pei Beis Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika Omer. So this is a very fun sugya, especially for me. It's talking about. Yoel. Okay. The Rabbi said this is just whatever. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika says, somebody tell Yoel and those chaver here, he's not muted again. So he's gonna. He told me that he unmutes it to see if we get upset at him. So y'all, we see that you're unmuted. Please mute. Thank you. No, it won't mute. I might have to mute, but Rabbi said I might have to mute myself if I hear too much noise because it's a little distracting. I'll go on like this. We had a machlokes yesterday between Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika says, "Mazin shtei sudas." How much bread is it? So he says it's a loaf of bread that you buy that with one punyan, which equals a chatzi kav, a half of a kav. A loaf of bread that's a half a kav. Okay, so that was yesterday. A loaf of bread, half a kav. Pay attention. Great. Says the Gemara, Tana. And then we had Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon said, here's a kav. You can make 3 breads out of one kav, and it's 2/3 of a kav. 2 parts. 2/3 of one bread, and one bread is 1/3 of a kav. Yeah, that's what we had yesterday. Tana, ukroivim divrayim liyoi shavim. They're equal almost. Says the Gemara, no, mi dummy. Rabbi Yochanan arba sudasa lekaba. So very simple. This is very, very easy. If a half a kav equals 2 meals, how much is a whole kav? 4 meals. So from 1 kav, I have 4 meals. That's Rabbi Yochanan shita. Rabbi Shimon is 9 meals per kav. Very simple. Look, I even did the math for you guys. If we're talking about 2 su'udas are 2/3 of a bread, that means 1 su'uda is 1/9 of a bread. Look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 pieces. There are 9/3 in a kav. And 2 su'udas is 2/3. So they're very off. In other words, how much is a su'uda according to Rabbi Shimon? 1/9. How much is a su'uda according to Rabbi Yochanan? 1/4. So we got a problem here. A quarter, says the Gemara like this. Midam in the Rabbi Yochanan arba sudas lekaba. The Rabbi Shimon teisha sudas lekaba. Omar Rav Chizda tzei mehem shlish lechenveni. Well, you forgot. The guy selling the bread, he has to make a little bit of a profit. How much? he takes a third off the top. So therefore, if he takes a third off the top, it comes out that before we're talking about a half a kav, a bread that's a half a kav. No, he only sells a third of a kav. What he sell? Because he has to take a third for himself. So he's selling a third of a kav. How much is a third? So a third of a kav equals 2 meals. We just went from a half to a third. And a half is 2 meals. So memela what? If you take a third of a kav is 2 meals. How much is 1 meal? A sixth of a kav. Half of a third. A sixth of a kav. We're still off, because Reb Shimon says a ninth of a kav. And Reb Yochanan is saying a sixth of the kav. Vakati marteisha ulamar shis. He's 9 and he's 6. Elo ki idachta Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says something different. Now this is going to be a problem the Gemara is going to address in a second. Rav Chizda contradicts himself. But Rav Chizda says somewhere else. No, the baker, he could take 50% profit. So Mamela what? Now we're down to a quarter of a kav. We went from a half to a third, but no, it's more. It's a quarter. It's a half of this, quarter. That means a quarter of a kav equals 2 meals. That's the shear in the Mishnah. How much is a mazon shtei sudas for Eruv? A quarter of a kav. So how much is 1 suda? If I'm going to break that into individual sudas, an eighth. This is still not equal. Rav Shimon says a ninth. Vakati l'marteisha ulamar tamnei 8. Hainu deka amar ukroivim devreim liishavim. That's why he says they're similar. They're not exactly, they're close to each other. He says an eighth, he says a ninth. Great. Akolpanim kashi de Rav Chizda. Over here, Rav Chizda said that the bread is a third of a kav. And over here he's saying in red and red. I did it red and red because they're both Rav Chizda, a quarter of a kav. Which one is it? Loi kashya, hodeka yoav balabais tzivei, hodelo yoav balabais tzivei. Do you understand how hard it is to do the sugya while you're thinking about refinancing a property and it's not going through and it is going through and what you should tell them not? Okay, I'm just saying. And then missing a flight, not missing a flight. So you can relate. Rabbi said not every day is the best day. So it depends. If the buyer participates and he provides the wood, the firewood, so his price is going to be cheaper. Then the baker is only going to make a third. He's only going to make a third. Shlish lechenveni. He's going to make a third. And that's why he gives it away. Of the bread is a third of a kav. But if he provides the firewood, so then he only gives from a kav, he gives a half a bread. That's a lot more. Less. A quarter of a kav. Quarter of a kav is less. And Mameli makes more profit. End of the story for now. And now we go to a new Amud with new math. So we said yesterday, according to Reb Shimon at least, here's a loaf of bread, and we know that Beis Hamenuga is a pras. Beis Hamenuga is if somebody goes into a house that has tumah, that has a neg on the wall, he becomes tamei, and if he remains in the house for as long as it takes to eat a pras means a half a loaf of bread, then his begadim come tamei. Let's say it takes 3 minutes to eat a half a loaf of bread, so he has to remain in the house 3 minutes in order for his clothing to become tamei. Half of that, in other words, a quarter of a loaf of bread, so here's a half of bread, a quarter of a loaf of bread, that is to make a person puzzle. That if a person eats tumah, then his body becomes so puzzled, not tamei, but puzzled that he cannot eat truma. Now listen to this. Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, brand new sugya. Tana, v'chatzi chetzi chetzia. Half of a half and a half. Half of a half of a half equals an eighth. So rather than saying an eighth, the Gemara says chatzi chetzia. L'tamei tumas oichlin. Whew. So, in order for food to become tamei, with the rabbanon, with the raisa, because food becomes tamei regardless, but with the rabbanon, you need this shear. An eighth So how does the shear work exactly? So Rashi explains to us, just to make it nice and confusing, Erev Shabbos. According to Rabbi Yochanan, what did we establish in the last sugya when we finished off? Look over here. He gives a quarter of a bread, quarter of a kav. That's the end of the sugya. So, starting with that, we have, according to Rabbi Yochanan, a bread is a quarter of a kav. Now, a quarter of a kav, I'm not going to go into all the cheshbainas, but a quarter of a kav equals 6 eggs. So therefore, when I say that I'm doing a half a bread, that's 3 eggs, right? A half of the kav. A quarter of a kav. Quarter of a kav is 6 eggs. A loaf of bread is 6 eggs. So a half a loaf of bread, according to Rabbi Yochanan, is 3 eggs. A half of that, to make a person puzzle when he eats truma, is 1.5 eggs. And a half of that is the amount that makes other food tummy. So how much is that? 3/4 of an egg, according to Rabbi Yochanan. You do the same cheshbon, this is much simpler. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's different, but very simple. According to Rabbi Shimon, a loaf of bread is 1/3 of a kav. 1/3 of a kav equals 8 eggs. So now you just divide everything in half. Half of 8 is 4 eggs. That's for tzaras, beis hamenuga. Half of that, to make a person puzzle, is 2 eggs. And half of that, to make food tameh, is 1 egg. All right, so that's very simple. So you either have 1 egg or 3/4 of an egg, which is chatzi chetzia, an eighth, to make food tameh. In other words, if I have a candy this big, maybe I cannot make it tameh because it's too small. I need to have at least an egg's worth or 3/4 of an egg's worth, according to Rabbi Yochanan. So ask the Gemara. Somebody is not muted. Oh, Dr. Allen, fine. And Dr. Goldstein. Oh, I shouldn't mention names, because later on it's going to go YouTube, and you're gonna, oh, you're good, you're not going to speak, fine, and you can't mute it. I get it, okay. Zog the Gemara, just tell your wife not to start screaming from upstairs, whatever. Zog the Gemara, v'tane didon. We have a question. If in our Mishnah we go through all the things, this is the shear for an Eruv, and then we go, this is the shear, half of that is for Beis HaMenuga, and half of that, so how come the Mishnah doesn't continue and give us half and a half and a half? Go all the way down to the bottom of the list, which is for Tumah Zarchlet. Because it's not really a half of the other half. Why? The sanyo, kama shir chatzi pras, to make a person puzzle is a half a pras, right over here. Now, we're going according to Reb Shimon in this instance. A pras, meaning a half a loaf of bread, is for Beis HaMenuga. A half of a pras is for a person. Chatzi pras, which is shtei beitzim chaser kima, 2 eggs minus a little bit. Why? Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Because Rabbi Yehuda holds that in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, they used smaller eggs. So it was a smaller share. Rabbi Yossi Omer, shnei beitzim soichakois, the opposite. In the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, the eggs were larger, or they used a different type of egg. And Memela, it's soichakois. Soichakois, we said, means to smile, to be happy, when your lips are open, like this. It's spread apart versus being sad and tight-lipped. So soichakois is a little bit more than 2 eggs. Shir Rebbe shtei beitzim v'oid. So now Rebbe came along and he said it's 2 eggs v'oid. And oid means 1/20th, a 0.5%. No, 1/20th. Says the Gemara, kama v'oid, echad me'esrim bebeitza. So memela, yeah. So 1/20th. So we're going to get back to this shir in a second. V'ilu gabe tumas oichlin tanya, Rabbi Nosson v'Rabbi Doisa amru, kebeitza sha'amru k'maya v'kilipasa. So now, why is that not equal? Why can't we go on to say the last share of an eighth? Because Rabbi Nosson and Rabbi Doisa say kebeitza sha'amru k'maya v'kilipasa. It's equal to an egg with its shell. And I believe the guy in the Gra says that it's another 25%. So it's more. Klipasa with its shell. So at the end of the day, it doesn't add up. because with the shell doesn't add up to exactly the 2 eggs, 2.1 according to Rebbe. But at the end of the day, the shiurim are different. You can't say it's exactly half of the previous year because it's not. It's either less or more, but it's not exactly half. Omer Rav bar Papa, Omer Rav Chizda, Zu divrei Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbi Yossi. So basically, what we just said goes according to Rabbi Shimon. In other words, the Gemara is saying that there's another shear. Uman chachamim, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika. So what we already established, that this is going, what we just said, the 2 eggs, and we're doing mamish even, 2 or 8, 4, 2, 1, that's all Rabbi Shimon. But Rabbi Yochanan, he has a different shear. What's his shear? We already know Rabbi Yochanan's shear. If he starts out with 6 eggs, so half of 6 is 3, half of that 1.5, half of that 3/4. Says Gemara Pshita. So I know that. I know where Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika holds. I know I can do the math myself. Says the Gemara, no, there's a little bit of a chiddush here. That we're not just using regular eggs, we're using slightly more than the regular, like Rebbe said, like the Gemara established, it's 1/20th more than an egg. Zog the Gemara, listen to this. Words that you'll never find in all of Shas. Shigar bonyois, sent Rebbe, to Rebbe, the famous Rebbe. Moidia de kundes. Also, words I haven't found anywhere. A measurement of a kundes, which is a very large saw. The min nusa. I don't know, Rabbi, I think this whole daf is just Kabbalah. From beginning to end. That's my feel. I'm kidding, but there's something to it. I don't know. It's like a private language here, a secret language. Shiger bonyas l'Rebbe moidia the kundes the minusa. Okay, the Shir Rebbe, and he established this saw, this measurement called a saw of kundes. Mason v'shvais rebein, 217 eggs. All right. So now the Gemara says, where did he get the 217? Okay, so we have to remember 217. Where did it come up, Rebbe? Like, what is it equal to? They bring him this vessel. It's a measuring cup. Let's say the size of a barrel. It can hold 217 eggs. What does it correspond to? In history, they dug somewhere. In Kundes, they dug and they found a measuring cup, a huge measuring cup. Now, is it from the Midbar? Is it from the desert that they use this kind of saw in the desert? Is it from Yerushalayim, which later on they took the saw of the desert and they increased it? Or is it from Tzipari? But what is it? It doesn't match anything that we know. Hasa dehecha. The Midbaris, when the Klai Yisrael is in Midbar, Kuf Mem Dalet have 144 eggs. Nothing to do with 217. Vid Yerushalmis, and if it's from Yerushalayim, later on they added a 6th or a 5th, call it whatever you want, depends, Milabar, Milagav, Kuf Ayin Gimel have it. So it's 173, but not 217. Vid Tziparis, Reish Zayin, 207 havin. So, okay, so the closest we got to is 207. How did Rebbe get 217? He's off by 10. Now he's not off, he measured it and it's 217. So we have to understand what this vessel is. Says the Gemara Leilam Tziparis, it's 207. I see chalso shode elayu. You have to add the challah to it. So they had a saw. They wanted to make dough with the challah in it. So they left with 207. How much do you give challah? So that we learned the other day, 1/24. So if you take 192 divided by 24 equals 8. 192, not 207, 192 divided by 24, which is the shear of challah, equals 8. So now add 8 to 207 is 215. But frek the Gemara, I see chalsa shode elayu. Chalsa kama havin. Tamne, 8. Akati botzer lay. Now, even if you're going to ignore, now why did I say 192? Because that divides perfectly in 24. 24 divides nicely in 192, it's exactly 8. So the little bit extra from 192 to 207, okay, we'll ignore it for now. Okay, fine. But even so, take the 8 and add it to 207. Where are we at? 215. Where did Rebbe come up with 217? Akati batzale. So the Gemara says, you're right. Let's go away from that. We're going away from this challah business. El-aisi va'oidois, the Rebbe, beautiful word. Rebbe said va'oid. You have to add a little bit. Va'oidois. Take all the va'oids together, which are, if you take 200 and you add the va'oid, 1/20th is 10. Okay? So you add 10, so it equals up exactly 217, because you're at 207, you take a 1/20th, add the 1/20th of 200, or 207, it equals 217 and a little bit. But you're not there exactly. You added 10. If it was 200, you'd be perfect. But you're not at 200. You're at 207. You forgot you didn't count the 1/20th of the 7 eggs. We don't care about those. So again, why does this kli have 217? Because Rebbe is right. This is maybe where Rebbe got his far from. Rebbe says you have to add a va'oid. It's not exactly 207. It's 207 and 1/20th of 207. So you have to add a 1/20th. What are you all laughing? Because I'm talking like a Panovich or math? What's going on here? You got a better word for me? Uncle Phil said, yeah. Okay, whatever the word is, the fractions, the this, that. Leave me alone. And then I had another guy that I chepped a guy during shir, and then he chepped me afterward. It's terrible. It was a day, mamish. Goes down in the record book. Tana Rabbanan. So Yerushalmis. Yisera al midbaris shtus. So we have these 3 saws. They added the shear. They added a 6th, which in America, not in Panovich, they call it a 5th. Because a 6th, a shtus of the Gemara, and all shiurim usually, I would say, I don't remember any, but most of the time, let's call it 90% of the time, the Gemara says a shear, it's the total. So when they give you a shear, they say a 6th, they really mean a 5th. That's how we do math today, we call it a 5th. They talk about the total, so let's say 100, 25%, a quarter of 100 is 25. So they'll call it a 5th. They'll say 125 and they call it a 5th, right? The 25, they take the 25 and put it on the 100, they call it 120, they call it a 5th. Because afterwards, once you put it on there, it's 125, it's really what we call a quarter, they call 125. Fine. So Yerushalmi Yisera midbar shtus. So the Yerushalmi is larger than the midbar by a 6th, milabar. V'shel tzipayris Yisera al Yerushalmi shtus. And the tzipayri one that came in the later generation, they enlarged it by, it's like inflation or whatever reason they did it for, is larger than Yerushalmi by a 6th. Nimtzas, so therefore, first one, the midbar, is smaller than the last one, or the last one, the tzipayris, is larger than the midbar by a 3rd. A 6 plus a 6th, 3rd. Says the Gemara, shlish teman, whoa, time out. It doesn't really work. Why? How much is the midbar? 144. How much is a 3rd of that? 48. A 3rd of 144 is 48. Yet, the tzipayri is larger than the midbar by 63. 144 plus 63 equals the tzipayri, which is, where were we? Oh, here. Tzipayri is 207. Says the Gemara, so you want to say it's the 3rd of the Yerushalmi, which was 173. 58 minus a 3rd. In other words, 57.6. So again, again, we're talking about 63, not 57. Says the Gemara, ve'elo ditzipari, a third of itself. 207 divided by 3. Shlish dido kama havi? Shivin nechei chado. 69. 70 minus 1, 69. Vilo oitfas samach gimel, 63. We said that the difference between them, between the tzipari and the midbar, is 63. And a third of itself, of tzipari, is 69. Doesn't add up. It's not 63, it's 69. Says Gemara, Lomar Rabbi Yomi Achikama, Nimtze social tzipari yisera al midbars karev l'shlishala. It's close. It's not exactly. It's 63 versus 69. It's almost there. Ushlishala karev l'mechzad l'midbars. So this third, which is 69, is close to half of a midbar. How much is the midbar? 144. 144 divided by 2, divided into 2 is 72. So 72 is close to 69. Okay. 69 is close to 63. 69 is close to 72. Matzvila Ravina midi karev karviktani. But it doesn't say that it's close. It is a third. Ela Omer Ravina Achikamar. Nimtzei shlish shel tzipari b'va'idiyais shel Rebbe Yisera. So it comes like this. A third of the tzipari. You with me? We're almost finished. I promise. Shlish shel tzipari, a third of the tzipari, which is 207. Tzipari starts out at 207. B'va'idiyais shel Rebbe. Take the oid of Rebbe. 207 and plus a 1/20th equals 217, we said. Right? So how much is a third of that? 217 divided by 3. 72.3. So that 72.3 is slightly more than half of a midbar. The midbar is 144, divided by 2 is 72, and according to a third of a tzipari, according to Rebbe, because Rebbe is at 217 divided by 3 is 72.3. 72.3 is very, very, very close to 72. Very good. Rabbi Isai, you could relax. This daf will go down in history as pag, or a gaff. A gaff is a good one. Okay, there was a big gaff yesterday. It's all Kabbalah, especially for Panovitchers. Tana Rabbana. Listen, the Lubavitchers are no better than the Panovitchers. Shlomi told me. They don't learn math b'chalal. Is that true? Here we have Shlomi on somewhere, but also Rabbi Twersky is on. What? So how did the sugi work out for you, Rabbi Twersky?
I did do and it made sense.
It made sense. Tana Rabbanan. Reishis Arisoy Seichem. Oh, we're not done yet. It says today we're turning to Daf Amud Beis Lili Nishmas in memory of Dr. Allen's mother, my mother, Shindel Bat, Aaron Hirsch, and Bracha. What did I say? Oh, no, because my note is on Pei Beis. You're right. We're turning to Pag, Gaff. And also sponsored by the Austin and Tobias grandchildren and Mishpachas, Lila Nishmas Arababi, Zissel Bas Chaim. The Neshama should have an Aliyah. Oh, I forgot to add that I also found out yesterday that one of my neighbors, Leah Lenu, was diagnosed and is doing terrible. In addition to that, wasn't yesterday, but I found out that another neighbor was nifter from COVID. So kids, it was just all the bad news. And then my daughter calls me up to tell me that she left her purse in the Uber, and then I said, I'm having a terrible day. And she calls me back later. She goes, "You're not going to believe this. I left all my stuff in a second Uber." Kids, it's a day for Stefanskys. Anyway, Zog Gemara. Tara Rabbanan, Reishis Arisoy Seichem, Kedei Isoy Seichem. How much challah? What do you mean for challah? Like what you eat, Isoy Seichem. Your dough. Bekama Isoy Seichem. Great. How much is that? Kedei Isas Hamidbar. What they had in the midbar. Bekama Isas Hamidbar. This mamish reminds me of that ma'isa of Kitzapichas b'dvash. What did the man taste like? And we're talking about this. What did the man taste like? Like tzapichas b'dvash. And what does tzapichas b'dvash taste like? Like tzapichas b'dvash. So, Kidei Isis Amidbar. Become Isis Amidbar. We're still not getting there. All right, I made another chart just to confuse you all. Here we go. An oimer is 1/10 of an ephah. It says in the Torah, oimer. We're talking about oimer. Stephen, I see you're very excited about the sugi. By the way, my good friend Louis Coleman asked me if you were, I forgot where, but then he decided it's not you. He knows a Stephen Sakala somewhere else. Maybe Pittsburgh. You have a relative in Pittsburgh? No. Oimer is 1/10 of an ephah. How much is an ephah? 3 saw. 3 saw equals, I'm skipping all the math now, 3 saw equals 432 eggs. So, 1/10 of that, a oimer is 1/10 of an ephah. An ephah, we decided, is 432 eggs. So 1/10 of 432 eggs equals 79 eggs. No, it doesn't? No? Okay. No, it equals 43. I just wanted to see if anybody's listening. 43 eggs. Okay, fine, good, because everybody could divide something in 10. Gaval, you guys are geniuses. You should be very proud of yourselves. Okay, great. So an oimer is 43.2 eggs. I mean, arisay seichem. Yeah, oimer, arisay seichem. So, in order to take challah, 43 eggs worth. I guess that's what the shear today is. I don't know what the women do, but you'll have the chazanish egg and this egg and with the klipa, with that, whatever you want, but that's how it starts. Okay, fine. Just the Gemara says 3 words, but I gave you the chart. Mekano amru, shiva revaim kemach, 7 quarters of a kav, 7 quarters of a kav, kemach, v'oid, and a little bit more, chayav b'chala. Okay, so now we know. Shehain, well, because they added a shtus to make it a Yerushalmi, and then another shtus to make it a tzipari, so therefore we'll take it down. Shein Shisha shel Yerushalmis, Shein Chamisha shel tzipari. Mekan amru. And therefore, a boy side, more Kabbalah. Ha'oichel kemidazu, if you eat 43 eggs a day, eggs worth of food a day, harei bari mevayrach, you're going to live a nice, healthy life, you're blessed, and you are healthy. Yasal kain, if you eat 44 eggs, Rafton, you're a fresser. Pachis mikan, I think we eat 49 eggs per kiddush that we go to. I don't know, I have no idea what the share. I don't know what, 43 eggs seems like a lot. I could tell you that in the last week I ate 23 eggs worth of food in the total. Al kain, Rafton, pachis mikan, Rafton. So, yes, Al kain, yes, Al kain, I have all the excuses, I'm telling you. All the excuses. If I didn't make any sense yesterday, all the excuses. Yes, Al-Kain, if you eat more than 43 eggs, fresser. Pachis mikan, if you eat less than 43 eggs, you're going to have problems in the digestive system. You got to sit there with counting calories. Here you go. Here's the side of counting calories. You got to sit there with the scale, make sure you got 43 eggs worth of food, not an egg more, because then they'll call you a fresser. Not an egg less, because then your stomach will explode. So kids are 43.2, you tell your wife, Adkan, it's 43, I cannot have this piece of kugel, because 43.2. Zog the Mishnah. We're back to Eruvin. With the pictures and everything. Look at this, I'm not joking, here we go. We got the pictures, we got the whole thing going. No more of these, what is this stuff? Eggs and ephahs and zachen. Says the Mishnah, Anshi Chotze. Then Eli Deichman calls me up at 10. No, you ready for shear? No, I'm not ready for shear. I don't know where I am even. I have no idea where I was. Ready for shear. Anshi Chotze v'Anshi Mirpeses Sheshachachu. Oh, I said I had a great idea. I'll call my chavrusa. Maybe you want to learn with me. Maybe he'll explain to me a thing or two. Oh, it's Shabbos already. Oh, shkoyach. Zog the Mishnah, Anshi Chotze v'Anshi Mirpeses Sheshachachu v'lo yirvu. So you have people living on top and people living in the bottom. So now we're just going to discuss very basic stuff, no math. You could all wake up, whoever went to Lubavitch, Panovich, and everything in between, and all the other chadarim that taught us well and all the things, and didn't go to college, you can wake up now. Fine. There's a porch here. You see this? Who does this belong to? This guy right over here. Who? The guys on the bottom, the guys on the top. So most likely, we would all say logically, the guys on the top. Okay. So you have Anshe Chotzer, the guys on the bottom, Anshe Mirpeses, and the guys over here on the top that belong to this to this, what is it called? Not a porch. No, there's a better word, whatever. Sheshachachu v'lo yirvu. A balcony. Call a balcony. I like balcony better. Fine, balcony. They forgot. They didn't make an eruv. They made an eruv between themselves. Everybody made an eruv, but not between the top and the bottom. The whole chutzner did. The whole balcony guys did. Everybody lives in this apartment. They have buildings like this, right? I do not own anything like this. I don't think. No. It's a pain for snow. Oh yeah, I do. In Cleveland. Yeah, in Cleveland. Not just a pain. We just had to redo in Cleveland. I don't remember how much. Maybe $300,000 worth of this stuff. Because the snow is right on the water. Gorgeous building on the water. And the Benzie Friedman will tell you all about it. It eroded the concrete. Terrible stuff over there. Anyways, before we bought it. But anyway, great stuff. Yeah, so they still make these kind of buildings, Adayim Hazeh, and let's say they all made a eruv, but the guys in the bottom didn't. Pachas mikan lechotzer. So sorry. Kol shegavaya asar tfachim limer pesas. So anything that's above 10 tfachim goes to the balcony people. Pachas mikan lechotzer. What belongs to who? Where belongs where? So if this to climb up here, 10 tfachim, so then this belongs to upstairs. Lower belongs to downstairs because they have easy access to it. Whoever, like we learned in the sugya before, whoever has easier access always wins. That's how it goes. It becomes theirs. But what's interesting is if you have the equal access, then nobody gets it. Okay, then you have to make an eruv. But if I have more access than you, then I get it. So look at this. You have here a beam comes up, 10 tfachim. Here's a nice rim of somebody dug down here and they had a bunch of dirt that came out, 10 tfachim. Limer pesas. So it goes to the balcony. That's only if this beam is close to the balcony, so they have access to it. But if it's far away, then it doesn't belong to the top guys, it belongs to the bottom guys because it's too far for the top guy to reach. What does it mean? So if this beam is within 4 tfachim of the balcony, then it belongs to the balcony. Says the Gemara, a few very basic halachas here. So, we're talking about who owns what, who has access to where, who has to make the eruv. Says the Gemara, pshita. I'll tell you a few simple things. Lezeh bepesach, lezeh bepesach. If I could access you and you could access me with a opening, like a window, or a... Oh, great. Like this. Says Gemara, Hainu Chaloin. That's the exact case of a Chaloin that we learned. Daf Ayin Vav. Ayin Zayin is over there. Shebein Shtei Chatzeros. If you recall this picture, there was a line. If the window is within 10 tfachim, it's great. So therefore, what's the halacha? The halacha is that either they make an eruv together, or they make an eruv separately. That's the halacha. So if they don't, then it becomes asr. And the area in between is asr. They can't do anything with the area in between. Lezeh bezriko. What if the only way to access a certain place is by throwing it? A big mountain between them, you have to throw something up there. It's more than 10 tfachim, obviously. Hainu koisel shebein shtei chatzeros. We already learned that as sugya. The Mishnah, you have a wall that divides two chatzeros. So what's the halacha? That if you have food on the wall, it's also to bring it down. Lezeh b'shilshul. I'm not talking about what you guys are thinking. I know what you guys are thinking. But shilshul means to lower a cable down. So you're talking about the opposite of a wall. It's in the ground. Hainu charetz shebein shtei chatzeros. And that is the halacha of a ditch between two chatzeros. So by the way, it's if you don't do anything, both of them are asur. And we'll see in a second, I don't know if you recall, we had the case where the ditch, one of the chatzeros is higher, closer to the ditch. It's a lower down chatzer, so it has access to the it's less than 10 tvachim, it gets the ditch. Now, interesting. What if one has access through an opening and the other one is lower down? He has to throw it. Here's the nice picture. Let's see if I can find it. Because I did not have seichel to put it together. What was the case? Oh, here. Here we go. Here's an opening. I don't know if you can even see. There's a little gate right over here. And so the guy on the top has a very easy way to get to this mound. He has a little gate. The guy on the bottom is very tough for him. He has to throw it up. Go like that. It's a beautiful picture, actually. The stones, the staircase to show you the elevation, how the guy on top is higher up. Okay, so if that's the case, that is the case. Go back to, I don't remember what daf that was, maybe Ein Zayin. Here's the chutzner down below. We learned this, believe it or not. And here's the chutzner up on top. So whoever is closer wins. It's more accessible to the guy on top. He gets the whole wall. That's him. It goes by whoever, if there's a kasha and a nayach, if there's an easier access, so the guy that has easier access, he's the only one that rules over that place, over the wall. So over here also, the guy that has a door, he just opens up the door and goes to the mound. So it's a lot easier than the guy has to throw and make shtick to get there. So it's the guy that has the petach. What about this case? This guy has, look, beautiful opening right over here, but the kids don't fall down because it's like a gate, but he opens it up, he gets to it. So, yeah? No, sorry. It has to be over here. This guy is going to lower it down b'shilshul, and this guy's going to go straight up at petach. Hainu, the Rav Shizvi Omar Rav Nachman. That's the case of the ditch between the two yards. And whoever is closer, if you have a yard that's lower down to the ditch, let's say there's a ditch between 2 yards, but 1 yard elevation is lower. So his ditch actually is only, let's say, 4 tvachim. But the guy lives higher up, the ditch is 10 tvachim. So the guy that's 4 tvachim, he wins. So now finally the Gemara comes to a case where they're both equally hard. You have to throw it up or lower down a cable to get to it. Now lowering down a cable is probably easier than throwing. So they're both difficult, but one is less difficult. So that's the shaila. Is that considered too difficult? Or since one is slightly easier, so it's easy and difficult? They're both difficult. One is 100 difficult, on the scale from 1 to 100 it's 100, the other one is 95, but they're both difficult. But at the end of the day, it's easier for the 95 guy. All he has to do is lower a cable, and then it's hard to lower a cable, but it's not as hard as to aim and to throw. Okay, yeah, I should have known it's my brother calling to say good Shabbos again. Mamish, the same thing as last Friday, and I told him, don't call me Friday, but that was last Shabbos. He thinks I'm in Eretz Yisrael. He doesn't know I missed my flight. Oh, but then what? What did you say? Did YouTube go off? It's back on. Okay. It's back on. Okay. We're done, Rabbi Isai. So, and that's the halacha. So even though, it's difficult, but it's less difficult than throwing. And Memela, that mound goes, according to Shmuel, not according to Rav, it goes to the guy that's less difficult. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos, have a wonderful week in Eretz Yisrael. The plan is, I don't know, until I really get yelled at by my wife, I'm going to try to get that Monday night flight together with Avi Mandelbaum. I'm on that flight as of now. What?
God willing, we'll fly together.
Be'ezer Hashem. Yeah.
Are you going to bring
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. It's not mine. I told you it's not mine. Good Shabbos. Gedalia, good Shabbos. Is that you, Gedalia? Is that what you looked like when you were a kid?
Yeah, that was me for my upscaling. I think someone
Cool.
was asking me a question.
Yeah, Avi, meet Eli at the airport. Do not pick him up. You'll be late.
We don't have room in the car for him. We're only 7 feet. We only have 7 seats. So
Even if there is room, do not.
Listen, it's the same flight, and I have to do the same thing. I have to give a shir, let's say at 2 o'clock, and then I have to print the papers. It's the same problem. But this time I'm hoping to be packed before.
for this year,
What? What do you say?
That's a brilliant idea.
fill out the paperwork before this year.
You guys obviously never said a shir. I didn't have 45 minutes that morning to print out the papers or to pack. I didn't pack. I guess I could have packed the month before. Seriously, I forgot to tell you guys. I had a thought the entire time. I said, I did not go to Yoel to give him his Slurpee. I did not go to say goodbye because the 45 minutes that I printed, I was planning on going to him. I said, you know what? This is going to be my einish. So I'm going to have to go. I have to go on Sunday and say goodbye to him.
Yoel said he's not mochel you.
No, I got 2 messages from him. They said he's moichel. 2. No. No. He's saying no. He's not moichel.
You're asking if Mechila is not real while you're drinking a Slurpee in front of him.
What were you guys thinking? Mark, what were you thinking when you did that?
I printed mine, but no one needs another one from Eli because it's not talented.
He got one today. He said he finished his. He's finished his. Listen, Phil, what were you saying about what was I using? What term was I using wrong over there? What could have I said better? When I was talking like a Panovitcher, what did you mean by that?
Oh, yeshiva math or Gemara math. You round everything up, everything down. The math never.
But that's not me. I'm saying, how could have I said it differently?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Listen, Eli, as somebody
Oh,
who has been a